You know, it feels like somewhere along the line, it became cool to fail. Seriously, think about it. You see this idea everywhere, that failure isn't just something to tolerate, it's actually this badge of honor you're supposed to wear on your way to success. I mean, you've heard this a million times, right? It's plastered all over social media, it's in every self-help book, it's what every successful entrepreneur says in an interview. And the message is always the same. That failed project, that business that didn't work out, that relationship that ended, they're all just stepping stones. They get framed as these huge transformative moments that you basically have to go through to win.
But, there's a certain way we tell these stories about good failure. It's like there's a script, a specific framework that makes them so powerful and so compelling. And for our purposes today, we're going to call it the narrative of success. So what is this narrative, really? Well, the most important thing to get is that it's almost always told in hindsight. It's a story told looking backward, after you've already made it. It's a classic survivor story, right? It's this positivity bias, where you cherry-pick all the useful lessons and frame the whole painful struggle as just a necessary part of the journey to the top. Okay, here's a perfect example. Picture a famous author, right? You see a post from them that goes something like this. I was rejected 10 times. I kept writing. And then, the triumphant finale, I wrote this bestseller. It's incredibly inspiring, isn't it? It's all about grit, perseverance, and that big payoff at the end. That struggle makes the win feel so much sweeter. And that's exactly why we love it. This story is heroic. It's this neat, simple arc that tells us our suffering has a purpose. It promises that if we just tough it out, we can also turn our failures into our own personal bestseller. But here's the thing, is that really the whole story? What about all the people who got rejected 10 times, kept on writing, and, well, never wrote a bestseller? What happens when failure doesn't magically lead to a triumphant third act? And this brings us to a much starker, maybe more honest way of looking at failure, and it comes from a philosopher named Jonathan Mitchell. He basically argues that we've kind of gotten carried away with selling the benefits of failure, because sometimes failure doesn't build you up, sometimes it just breaks you. He calls this existential failure, and this is not your inspirational stepping stone. Nope. There's no heroic story about dusting yourself off and getting back up. This is the kind of failure that just dismantles your self-esteem, leaving you with this deep, profound sense of hopelessness, with no big lesson learned and no clear path forward. This quote really just captures the raw reality of it. There's no motivational music playing in the background, no slow-motion comeback montage. Sometimes, when you get knocked down, you just stay down for a while. It's messy, it's painful, and it's anything but inspiring. Now, I know this all sounds pretty bleak, but the point here isn't to be depressing. It's about being realistic. It's about acknowledging that failure has these two totally different faces. And for a long time, we've only wanted to look at the pretty one. So how do we hold both of these truths at the same time? Well, let's break it down side by side. On the one hand, you have that narrative of success. It's constructive, it leads to growth, it teaches lessons, it creates that heroic story we love. But then, on the other hand, you have existential failure. And it's destructive. It can destroy your self-esteem, lead to hopelessness, and leave you with no story at all. The most important part? They're both real. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that we need a more balanced view. We should absolutely celebrate those stories of people overcoming the odds. They're so important. But we also have to make space for the fact that sometimes failure is just bad. That's it. It's not a secret lesson in disguise. And accepting this lets us be a lot more compassionate with ourselves and with other people when they're going through it. And so, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. When you look back at your own setbacks and failures, which narrative do you tend to apply? And now, knowing that there are two very different kinds of failure, does that change how you might see your own story, both the one you've lived and the one you're going to write?